Hello everyone and welcome to Ghost Turd Stories. I'm your host Troy Gent. Ghost Turd Stories' mission is using humorous stories from veterans and first responders to reduce the burden of families whose veteran or first responder committed suicide. Ghost Turd Stories' vision is to use humor from veteran and first responder stories to prevent suicide within our ranks and reduce the burden of families whose veteran or first responder committed suicide. We hoped to attract veterans and first responders, as well as those interested in knowing more about what it's like to be in our shoes while we wear or wore those shoes. Hey everybody, this is Troy Gent, your host of Ghost Turd Stories. Today I've got a special guest, Son Stanley. He's a major in the Marine Corps, in the Marine Corps Reserves. He's an Osprey pilot and did some several years of active duty as a pilot, and his main job today is a commercial airline pilot. Welcome, Son. It's great to have you. How are you?
Hey, thanks, Troy. Man, it's great to be here. Great to talk with you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. You're a busy guy, and I'm getting to the point of becoming an empty nester, and you still got lots of kids in the house, so. So we'll just roll right into it. What's the dumbest thing you ever did when you were in the Marine Corps?
My wife was pregnant when I joined, so by the time I got to the fleet, I had about a 2-year-old. We lived on base. I had big aspirations that I was going to be a general. I was kind of this wet blanket. I would work, and then I would just go home, and I'd hang out with my wife. I'd go to squadron functions, but that was just about it. So me doing dumb things, man, that just didn't happen. Probably the dumbest thing that anybody ever asked me to do. And I didn't mind. We joined to go into combat and to do all those silly things. The Marine Corps just has you just do dumb things as part of being a Marine. But the dumbest thing my CO ever had me do is we were living in North Carolina, and there's a big old freaking hurricane bearing down on eastern North Carolina. So they had everybody evacuate. Everybody flew all their birds away that they couldn't fit in the hangar. So all of our birds, they all took them up to Nashville. And our CO came up with this idea because the Marine Corps says that you've got to have a duty watch, right? You've got to have fire watch. Even though there's a hurricane coming, you still got to have a fire watch in your freaking building. So our CO's like, well, we got to have fire watch. He looks at the squadron and he's like, oh, you know what? Man, Lieutenant Stanley, you live on base. You're the best option. You're going to be the SDO while this hurricane rolls through. Everybody's families were going to Charlotte. They were gone, right? They were going to Atlanta. Everybody was gone. And here Lieutenant freaking Stanley is. I'm sitting in the hangar by myself. Hurricane comes through, right? Obviously, it knocks out power. I have nothing to do. I don't have cell phone service. There's no one I could call if there was a fire. There's no way I could call anyone. There's nothing I could do. But by golly, I'm sitting in that seat. I am on duty, and this freaking hurricane comes through. You know, nothing really happened. I mean, panels came off here and there. The Marine Corps is done with their duty. All the Air Force cats, they learn how to fly the Osprey at the Marine Corps Osprey training squadron there at New River. And so when I was in training, I became good friends with the guy, Andrew. It was Saturday, and he said, hey, man, why don't you and your wife come over for dinner? And I'm like, dude, I can't. I got to go to the squadron. He's like, dude, it's Saturday. We're not flying. I'm like, oh, no, man, I got to go stand duty. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I got to do. I'm SDO, squadron duty officer. He's like, what do you do? I'm like, well, it's a 24-hour watch. You know, you spend the night, make sure. He's like, you make sure what? What are you going to do if something does happen? I'm like, well, I'm going to call somebody. And he's like, wait a second. You're telling me that you've got to get into our building. It's on the flight line, so you've got to get through a turnstile. You have to have access to get through the turnstile. You've got to have access to get into the door. Oh, by the way, you have to get access to get onto a base, and you're not going to do anything. You don't have a weapon. You don't have nothing but a cell phone. He's like, man, you Marines are so dumb. In the Air Force, we have this same duty, but we all have a cell phone. I just go do it from my house. What are you guys doing? I'm like, dude, we're fire watch, buddy. Obviously, we saw Marines do a lot of dumb things because Marines love to do dumb things. Probably the dumbest thing I ever saw a guy do, and I'm sticking with officers. I'm not going to pick on unlisted guys. I'm going to stick with officers here. I thought it was just a Marine thing. But this freaking dude loved to draw dicks everywhere. He just drew dicks everywhere. And he was such a skilled artist. He wouldn't just draw a dick. He would draw just a detailed, veiny, just proportional dicks everywhere. We'd be studying together. I'd go hit the head. I'd come back. I'd go home. And my wife's helping me study. I've got dates drawn all over my study material. In a squadron, we have what we call a operations duty officer, an ODO, and his job is to make sure the schedule goes through, that the flight schedule works out. And he works directly for the OPSO. The ODO, he got a phone call, and while he was on a phone call, the Air Force dude took the schedule and he flipped the schedule over. And he sketched this just incredibly detailed penis on the back of the schedule. Like the full length of the schedule, there's just this huge erection. If you could just imagine a detailed sketch artist penis that looked this way, I mean, it was epic. And he then turned the schedule over. Well, the freaking phone call was, we had a V-22 that was out flying, had a maintenance issue, and had to make an emergency landing off base. So the ODO, he gets off the phone call, tells this Air Force cat, hey man, something real's going on. I kind of need to be by myself. So the guy gets up and leaves. The actual real ODO comes over, gets the brief, gets all the information, and now the next step is you got to go brief the CO. He's got to make the final decision. I can't remember if his last name was Sanchez, but I think his call sign was Sanchez. He was always joking around. Well, for the one time in his life, he was serious. And he grabs the schedule. He's writing all this stuff down on the schedule. Like, hey, this is who the pilot was. This is who the co-pilot was. This is the events. This is where they were going. Colonel Rock was the CO, legend in the V-22 community. Right? He was one of the very first people to start the V-22 up, and he'd been with it forever. So XO is sitting on the couch. The CO's at the desk, and Sanchez is just up, and he's briefing him. And if you can imagine, he's holding the schedule up, and he's reading the schedule. This is who's on the schedule, blah, 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 blah. So on the back side of the schedule, there's this big, hairy, veiny penis just staring at the face of the CO. And at the end, the CO kind of puts his hand on his desk and he says, Sanchez, do you have a serious bone in your effing body? Like, why is there a big penis on the back of the schedule? Turns this schedule over and sees it, and it just... There's the emotions of embarrassment, but anger. This is what this Air Force cat does. Everybody knew. The Air Force cat was getting ready to do a flight, and the CO pulled him off the flight, pulled him into his office. More of a joke than anything. He kind of had to talk with him. And then the next day, or maybe 2 days later, we had a kangaroo court. That's how people get their call signs. You cannot get a call sign outside of a kangaroo court. It has to happen that way. So if you remember the movie Superbad, one of the stars, his name is Seth, and he draws penises.
Oh, man. What's your call sign?
My call sign is Mama. You know, as a active Mormon and got kids and a family and always a designated driver, always making sure people get home on time. I was the mama of the squadron, which I like. Never try to change it. You know, we have guys that have terrible call signs. We had a guy. He was a great dude in the squadron. Everybody liked him, but the dude was clueless, man. Like he could fly, but he couldn't think and fly. Like he couldn't run an airplane. We were in the squadron for about a year when we had our kangaroo court. As a result, he got the call sign of NINI, which stands for no impact, no idea. So now this dude has got to go his whole career and tell everybody his call sign is NINI, and then people are like, why is it NINI? Why is your call sign NINI? No impact, no idea. We were getting ready to go to Afghanistan. Our entire squadron shut down, and we all went to the rifle range the same day to kind of make sure that we limited impacts to flight operations, and we just got this stuff done. So we kind of did all of our ground training on one day. So we went to the rifle range, and here you have 26 officers on the range. They treated us a little bit different on the range. Like we could get away with a little bit more talking and bantering. So we're talking smack, right? We're talking smack the whole time. Aviators pretending like we can shoot guns. And old NINI, he was like on, I don't know what, I'm going to say target point 14. And he's talking smack. We're all talking smack. And he gets down, he shoots, and completely misses the target. So then they come over the loudspeaker, and they're like, no impact, no idea, target point 14. Talk about losing bearing. To include our CO, man. People are falling over laughing because here is NINI just shot a no impact, no idea.
So you're a major and there's lieutenant colonel, And you're all flying. Do you typically call each other by the names, or do you say, "Hey, sir"? Do you say, "Hey, Nini," even if he's a rank higher than you, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. Yeah, once you get in the cockpit, all rank goes away. Everybody knows you by your call sign. There's very few people in my squadron that know my first name. Everybody calls me Mama. And once you have a call sign, that's what everybody just calls you. Everybody just calls you that. In my phone, the majority of my buddies, I just have their call signs in there. So even if you're on the rifle range or anywhere out, you still go by your call signs. When you get to a cockpit, man, it's like rank goes away. Rank actually goes away. You're using call signs, and there are many times when I'll be the flight lead. Say we have 2, 3, 4 aircraft, and I'm leading it. And even though our CO, who's a lieutenant colonel, I'm just a captain, he's following me. He acquiesces to me. I make the decision and I go. Which is what's great about aviation is, he's got so many other things to worry about, but we. As a captain, I did the planning. I know what we're doing. We're going in. So he follows me in.
I've been using Isagenix since 2017. These products have made a world of difference in my quality of life, health, energy, muscle definition, strength, and endurance. My bread and butter products have been the Daily Essential multivitamins with Isagenesis, which is a telomere support supplement, the Isolane meal replacement shake, the Tri-Release protein shake, the collagen, the green drink, and the Cleanse for Life support system. However, Isagenix has many products and can cater to your unique lifestyle and goals. Click the link in the show notes or visit nmp.isagenix.com. That's nmp.isagenix.com to find out more. Besides just using the products, there is an option to partner with me and the company to build your own business with no capital up front. You can do as little as pay for your products and as much as making a full-time income. I love these products and will use them the rest of my life. You can also message me if you have any questions. Did you ever have a peer, subordinate, or leader that was clueless, had zero common sense, or was a butt kisser?
Obviously Nini was our clueless dude in the squadron. Man, when I was in OCS, dude, this was fantastic. We're in OCS. I did a 10-week course, so we're probably 7 weeks into it. And you know how every Saturday morning now, you have that formation and they go through, they're checking your uniform, they're asking you all these questions. I'm in the second row and I'm standing right behind this dude. He was a good dude, great PTer, but just dumb as a brick, man. He was from Missouri, went to the College of the Ozarks. Never even heard of that place. The dude, he tried really hard, but just wasn't picking up. If you didn't know an answer, you would say, this candidate doesn't know, but this candidate will find out. That was his go-to. They would ask him, and before they could even get the question out, he was, this candidate doesn't know, but this candidate will find out. Well, the sergeant instructors had enough of that. They get to him, this is messed up. Looks like a bag of garbage, body. Candidate, who's the first female Marine? This candidate doesn't know, but this candidate will find out. Sergeant instructor's like, that's bullcrap. Absolutely not. You will give me an answer before I leave. This candidate doesn't know, but this candidate will find out. He's like, I'm going to go through and I'm going to inspect the rest of your uniform. And by the time I'm done, you will give me an answer. The sergeant starts just going through, just detailing a bunch of bullcrap. And then this kid blurts out, this candidate thinks he knows the answer. And the sergeant instructor's like, well, what is it? And he goes, the first female Marine is Opa Mae Johnson, right? First female Marine, Opa Mae Johnson. And the sergeant instructor looks at him and he's like, and the guy probably 10, 15 seconds just stares at the sergeant instructor. And the sergeant instructor's like, Opa who? And I swear to you, this is not made up. I promise that this happened. The dude blurts out, Winfrey! Oprah Winfrey! sergeant instructor does a 180. The dude that was behind us, sergeant instructor, both of them together make a beeline for the freaking barracks. Our squadron, collectively, we fell about the place. Every platoon was looking at us. So they both leave. And they're gone for like 10 minutes. So we all get together. You know, the residual laughs, the residual giggles, right? Everybody shakes those out. You bounce around on your toes a little bit. Do some jumping jacks. Everybody's like good to go. And then that candidate platoon commander goes back in, grabs the sergeant instructor. The sergeant instructor comes out. And he just makes a beeline right for this dude. He's like, you mother effer. For 6 years I've been doing this, and you're the first one to ever make me lose my bearing. It's like, you have failed this inspection simply because you made me lose my bearing. Nobody got in trouble for laughing or anything. We laughed hard. Needless to say, this dude did not make it. Yep. This dude did not make it through. He did not become a Marine Corps officer. After 9 weeks of the 10 weeks they booted him.
Man, that's an awesome story. Did you ever see anyone throw up, mess their pants from running in formation or a fitness test?
Now, once again, in the wing, we don't PT as a unit. We never PT as a unit. The only time we ever PT as a unit is to do the PFT and the CFT. That's it. Everything else is completely on your own. The last setting I had for group PT was OCS, because even at TBS we really didn't do much. But OCS, we had this dude from New York who he was definitely on the spectrum. Definitely on the spectrum. And he tried hard. He wanted to be a Marine. His dad was a Marine. I guess this is what he wanted to do. So we were doing a boots and utes run. We were coming towards the end of OCS, so your points, your grades are stacking up. We all run, and we start doing our fireman carries. This one candidate picks this dude up, the dude from New York, and then immediately throws him down. And he's like, what the hell? Sergeant instructor comes running over. Boom! It's like, what are you doing, candidate? Blah, 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 blah. And this dude's just cracked himself. He's got poop everywhere. The sergeant instructor looked over, and this dude had poop coming up from his back. It was coming up out of his pants, up his back. The sergeant instructor's like, dude, what the hell are you doing, man? And the candidate, dude, no kidding, was like, I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting. He's like, I'm not going to stop to take a dump. I'll just go in my pants. And the sergeant instructor was just beside himself. Just absolutely beside himself. It's like and then you're going to ask your fellow candidate to pick you up? Get the hell out of here. Just go take a shower. Yeah, it was mindless. Now that guy.
That's crazy.
That guy made it.
Did he make it through OCS?
That guy made it through. Yeah, he made it through OCS.
Did you ever see anyone sneak contraband or ban stuff and get caught and made an example of?
I feel like everything I have is from OCS, man. Like in a squadron, the biggest contraband we had is when we were on the MEU, we were sitting off the coast of Yemen, right? Like once we no longer were going to the Gulf, we just set off the coast of Yemen and waited for them to do something. So there we were just sitting off the coast of Yemen, just absolutely doing nothing. Well, our birds, the Ospreys, we could range Djibouti. We put together a flight schedule. We'd go range Djibouti. The 53s, they couldn't go because the 53s were the only ones that had the lift to go to Sana'a in Yemen because it was so high up in the mountains. The Ospreys were useless, man. We couldn't lift anything. So the 53s had to do all that. So they were on alert the whole time. They couldn't do anything. So not really a whole lot of people were leaving the ship except for the Ospreys. So we'd go to Djibouti, and it was about a 2-hour flight to Djibouti. We would land, we'd kick a bunch of people off, we'd get gas, we'd go do mission, then we'd come back to the airfield, get more gas, swap out pilots and crew chiefs, and blah. So while we were doing that, these dudes that were just waiting, they were going in onto the base there in Djibouti, and they were buying Skull, they were buying Chew, cigarettes, all this other stuff, and then they would take them back to the ship. These dudes were absolutely killing it, man. They were taking, I think it's called a brick. I don't know. I think it's called a brick. And these guys were bringing it back to the ship, and they were selling the can, a single can. They were selling for $20 a pop. A single can, $20.
Holy cow.
These dudes were making a killing. Other than that, I mean, that's not a whole lot of contraband on active duty other than those guys being straight up entrepreneurs. But when I was in OCS, Saturday night and Sunday, they let you go in town. They wanted to give you enough rope so you could hang yourself, get crushed all week, and then see how you behave out in town. And then you would come back, you'd get online, and then you had to put everything into your Foot Locker or whatever so they could take it back. We were all standing on the line. You know, the sergeant starts just walking up and down. All right, I need everybody's contraband. Get your cell phones. Get your this, blah, 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 blah. They throw it in. And this dude, he just makes this comment under his breath, but to everybody. He's like, well, I hope they don't find my cocaine. And you had no idea that our sergeant instructor heard that, right? His name is Staff Sergeant Necco at the time. He's a sergeant major now. Staff Sergeant Necco walks all the way to the front of the squad bay, just talking. I want cell phones. I want this. You do this. You do that. Blah, 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 blah. And then he gets in front of this kid, and then it's like all hell breaks loose. In one move, his hands come behind his back. He's got the knife hand to the face. You got cocaine, Cannon. You got cocaine. Let's find it. Pushes the dude out of the way, grabs his wall locker, and throws it into the middle of the room. Goes to the next guy, makes his way all the way around the squad bay. Who's got cocaine? I mean, throws everybody's stuff into the middle of the floor. Everybody's stuff. He finishes it and then just walks out. That was it. Now, all of our wall lockers, everything is just in the middle of the floor. We're just dumbfounded. And this dude is like, he wanted to cry. He just wanted to cry. That's all this dude wanted. He didn't, but all this dude wanted to do was just cry. That's it. And he didn't even have contraband. He just made a stupid comment that Staff Sergeant Necco overheard.
Yeah. People get a little stupid in OCS and boot camp, say the stupidest things. They tend to learn, though. I mean, by the end, it seems like most people learn what to say and what not to say. So I guess that's the point.
You're right, man. That is the point.
Thank you for listening. Please tell your friends and family so that we can bring more joy and awareness to those struggling with suicide ideation and the families who desperately need help after the loss of someone they love to suicide.